Okay, Nuendo 2.0. First thing is we put in basically everything that we already got with Cubase SX. So you've got all the MIDI editing, you've got, as well as the key editor, you've got drum editor, and we've got the full score editing functions. All the score editing functions that you know from Cubase SX are built inside Nuendo. Another thing that we took from Cubase, which I really love, is the track inspector. We can open up a track inspector here, and when I select a track, I get all the information for that particular track coming right up here in front of me. Okay, I can set up volumes, hands, whatever I need to do right in here, inputs and outputs. I can also select my inserts. I've got 8 insert effects in the rack now, and I can select those inserts directly for that track right in there. So I don't need to keep opening windows. It's a great thing about Nuendo 2.0. Nearly everything can be done in the project window. I've also got my equalizers here. I've got 4 parametric equalizers. I can access those directly again inside the track. Sends, 8 sends. And one of the greatest features of all is just I've got a channel strip. For every channel I bring up, I have a channel strip right there in front of me. So I don't need to keep bringing up the mixer, messing with the mixer, bring up an effects rack, whatever. I can do everything directly inside the track inspector, which really speeds up the workflow a lot. VST 3.0 engine. We've completely rewritten the VST engine from the ground up. So it works on a very different principle. Here's our new mixer. On the big mixer view we have here, we have our normal mixer channels, these blue channels. We've also got a full mixer section on each one, just like we had in Cubase SX. And I can change that to be insert effects per channel, EQs per channel. I can have my EQs as knobs. I can have my send effects as sliders or knobs again. Okay. Now we'll look up here. What we finally got, which I've wanted for a long time, trim controls on every channel. So we get plus 48, minus 48 trims. So if you've ever been mixing in Nuendo before, and you basically run out of mixer, and you push something up and it's on the top end and you can't get any further, you can trim that now to set up your mix better. You don't have to keep messing with the faders. And finally, phase inversion buttons, which we've needed for a long time. But that's only the start. What gets really cool are these things here, input channels. Nuendo now has, as well as normal channels, it has input channels and output channels. So on my input channels here, I can define what inputs I want to have, and I can set up what I want to show there. So I can now set up a bunch of insert effects on my input. That means, for example, if I want to record a guitar, I can put in a distortion unit, I can put in a flanger, I can put in a magneto or whatever I want to have, a delay unit maybe, and I can record with the distortion, the flanger, and the delay recorded directly and print that onto my recording. So it just works like an input channel on a standard mixing desk going to tape. I can also have output channels. Now, how does that work? Let's show you how that works. If I press this edit button here, I can actually edit my inputs and outputs. Okay? Let's go to my inputs. So if I want to add a new input, I just right click and say add bus. I can have mono ins, stereo ins, I can even have surround inputs. So I can input a 5.1 version if I want to, or even anything up to a 10.2. So we now have 12 virtual buses in and out, so we can go up to 10.2 surround sound on inputs or outputs. And I can make as many of these as I want to. I can set up new buses any way I like, and I can set those to be any inputs and outputs I need to have. I can organize my outputs. I can set up any ASIO card I've got and set them in there. So what I can do now is I can actually set up alternative mix buses. So if I've got more than one set of speakers, I can configure all my speakers in the whole studio and flip between them on the fly. I can have stereo, 5.1, LCRS, everything's all done inside the VST Connections editor. So internally, the whole VST engine is completely configurable. It's like having a big-ass patch bay that you can repatch any way you like. Same on the output buses. Here I've got different output buses. I've got a stereo bus, 5.1 out, 10.2 out, and each of those are independent output buses which can feed different sets of speakers when I want to. And I've even got trims on my output buses as well. So I basically have a full-scale inline mixing console built inside Nuendo. Not only that, with effect sends channels, effect sends now come back as channels as well. If I make an effect send, instead of just going to the bus, it comes back up on a channel, and I've got a stereo channel with my reverb return or my delay return or whatever I want to have. And I can use that much more flexible. Also, one big thing a lot of people have been asking for is better delay compensation on plugins. Right now in Nuendo, if I insert an insert effect here on my inserts, Nuendo will compensate for any delay caused by the processing time of that effect. But the problem is, up until now, if I have a group channel, if I feed several normal mixer channels to a group channel, then that insert delay compensation gets screwed up, because I have different channels with different delay units set up under the insert channel. Right now, what I can do is every single channel, whether it's a normal channel, auxiliary return channel, or a group channel, they all have full delay compensation. That means every single channel is 100% phase coherent. Okay, so that's the VST 3.0 engine. Networking. We now have full networking built in. It's a collaborative environment. What I can do here is I can set up project sharing. I can share my project on a network. That means I can say everybody else who's with a normal LAN system, Ethernet, gigabit Ethernet's the best bet. With a normal LAN system, I can share the project so several different workstations can work together collaboratively on the same environment. So I can share the project and share all the audio and MIDI files, or I can set up different permissions for each individual file, or set up sets of permissions. When different people log onto the system, their names will come up here, and I can set whether they can read or write, just see the file, what they can do with it. I can share the whole project. Here, I can set up a list of all my different users in the network and all my projects, and which user is using which project and what they're doing on it, so I can see at a glance what's going on throughout the whole facility. Here in the user manager, I can add different users to the list. Here are my users. I can set up what the permissions are for each user. I can set it up in user mode, client mode, or server mode. That means that in user mode, each individual computer is a separate workstation, and they just share information between them. In server mode, the whole project and all the audio files live on the server, and each Nuendo workstation is basically a dumb terminal to that individual unique file on that server, so everyone can work on the same song at the same time. Which means in a facility, if I'm doing a video, for example, one guy can be doing dialogue, one guy can be doing sound effects, one guy can be doing music, and they can all see the same project, but only the guy doing sound effects can edit the sound effects, only the guy doing dialogue can edit the dialogue. Not only that, we can actually set up individual menus for each individual user. The menus in Nuendo 2.0 are completely configurable. So for example, if I'm never going to do scoring, I can just remove the score menu and I'll never see it again. If I've got a facility where I just want one guy just to edit audio, I don't want him to do any MIDI, I don't want to let him do any plugins, I can just remove that from his computer and he'll just get all the functions that he needs on the screen right there. So it's completely configurable and customizable application. Export functionality. We now have import and export of AES31 format, which is the new file interchange format that the AES have specified. That means that I can move my Nuendo projects directly between Nuendo, Euphonics, Fairlight, or any other digital audio workstation that supports AES31. And that will be 100% compatible project with all my information, mix information will all be transferred across. So it's completely compatible with any other AES31 system. Also, we can even now export Windows Media 9 format. As far as I'm aware, we're the first and only application that can make Windows Media 9. And with Windows Media 9, you can actually have compressed surround sound formats. So you can send 128K 5.1 mixes down the internet directly from Nuendo. What else? Oh, multiple timelines. I can now create new tracks. I can create timescale tracks here. I'm going to create some new time tracks. And now that one can be bars and beats, that one can be seconds, and that one can be 16mm film. So I can see exactly what I'm doing in the project any way I like to have it. We now have polyphonic scrubbing. I can set scrubbing. So I can play back faster at faster speed. You can see it going faster there. I can play backwards. And I can change the speed of playback at any time. And you can see with the cursor here, it's going faster or slower. And you see on the timeline. And then I can drop that back and just do it directly at 0 again. So I have full polyphonic scrub and varispeed built into the program.